And deportation flights also continue to take off from El Paso at Biggs Army Airfield. KTSM has been told that hundreds of undocumented migrants who have been arrested and flown out of the country on military planes is part of President Trump's promised mass deportation operations. Yesterday, our crew got a closer look at that process of deporting migrants back to their home country. This aircraft had 80 migrants on board, including men, women, and families.
Oh boy.
Our cameras did not capture the moment they boarded the plane. We did see some migrants already seated with face masks on, with what appears to be restraints on their hands and feet.
Come to the United States and illegally cross the border in violation of 8 U.S.C. 1325, you will be removed. This is a significant consequence because for some people it takes 30, 60, 90 days and a lot of resources to travel to the border, the southern border, before illegally crossing. We can have you back in your home country in 7 hours.
Barr telling KTSM earlier this week that deportation.
You know, guys, let me talk to you all. You know, first of all, I want to doff my heart out to all the families or everyone that has been affected, you know, by this deportations, you know, that is currently going on in the United States. You know, I'm sure every continent is affected. You know, almost every country on earth is affected by this. You know, so in as much as it is a tough time, it's very difficult because for a lot of these people that have had the opportunity to come here in the United States, they've seen a better life, and now to send them back to some of these countries where they're from, it is really, it's a retrogression. They're going backwards, right? You know, some of them being separated from their families, their kids, and all of that. But what I want us to pay attention to, though, regardless of what part of the world you are from and how you are affected by what is actually happening right now in the United States, I want you guys to think about this and take, you know, note that this is a time for deep reflections. Every one of us should deeply reflect on what we have going on in our various countries across the world. You know, this is a wake-up call, and I think we all have a responsibility to reflect now and think about what we can do to hold our leaders accountable in our various countries where we're from. So if you take the continent of Africa, for example, where we have a lot of migrants, you know, a lot of African brothers and sisters going through the Mediterranean Sea just to make it to the United States of America, I want to call on you all. I want to kindly ask you all to say maybe this is about time for you all to engage in your politics back home and start holding leaders accountable. You know, there is a time in life where opportunities like this that President Trump has given us is maybe for us to sit back down as young people of Africa, because Africa has the youngest population, and ask ourselves, we should ask ourselves the question, why do we have to go to the United States to make a living for ourselves when everything we need is in our countries? You take countries like Nigeria, they have enough oil that could take care of all of Nigerians. You take countries like the DRC, Congo, it is the richest country in the world, right? It's estimated that Congo has over $24, trillion worth of mineral resources. You take countries like Sierra Leone, we have 44 mineral resources you can think of. Why do Sierra Leoneans have to leave, or why should Sierra Leoneans leave Sierra Leone to come to the United States of America when we have all of these resources, but we the people are not holding our leaders accountable so that they can take care of us, for us not to want to travel and come overseas? So that is an opportunity, and this is the time for us to reflect. You look at what is happening in South America. You know, some of these countries, of course, the people are running away, for some greener pasture, to the United States. What can they do? Hold leaders accountable. Maybe this is a time for revolution across the continent of Africa and across the world. For you folks that are going back home being deported, how can you consolidate yourself and with your brothers that are actually there now, that are struggling, to start asking tough questions and say, you know what, it's about time we rebel against our leaders in these various countries so that we can demand and ask for more. And instead of blaming Donald Trump for protecting America, why don't we start holding our leaders accountable for not protecting us in our various countries and for not providing everything we need in our various countries? Maybe this is an opportunity to think along that line, to reflect and say, you know what, enough is enough. Let us come build their countries. And at the same time, I want to make this appeal to President Trump. Help the people of these other countries from dictators that they have as leaders in their countries that are holding back these people from reaching their full potential, and America is providing that potential to them. So what can you do to hold these leaders accountable? If it means kicking them, President Trump, if you guys have to extend, I know you don't want to get into people's political affairs, but at the end of the day, the people are powerless because they don't have what it takes to get these guys out of power. These guys have entrenched themselves in the military, the police, their family members, they've surrounded everything. They continue to steal the money that should go to the people so that the people don't migrate and want to come to the United States of America. So why don't you support these people in these various countries like in Africa, leaders that you know that are backsliding in democracy? For example, in Sierra Leone, we had an elections on June 24th, 2023. Up till this date, the elections results is not being announced. We don't know who won the election, even though the opposition leader, Dr. Sabura Kamara, made it very clear that he had 71% of the results reconciliation forms. And of those, it showed that he had 57.15% of the votes. But Julius Maada Bio, the current illegal president, is sitting there in power, not handing over power to the man who won the elections. Who's going to remove him from power? That is the question. So you have thousands of Sierra Leoneans that are wanting to leave the country and fly overseas to seek greener pasture. What are we going to do about those people? So again, Ines America is cracking down on innocent citizens that are just seeking greener pasture. What can you do to improve or even, get some of these leaders out of the way that are actually not pushing the agenda of providing the kind of dignity that our people need for them to avoid coming, migrating, to the United States. So again, my heart goes out to all the family members that are affected. Let's hold the leaders accountable in these various countries so that we can have the life that we deserve. All we're asking for is simple dignity. I think our leaders in Africa and across the world, in other countries, should be able to provide what we need so that people can just come and visit and go back. The world is a small village, but we should all not rely on America because we're getting lazy these days. Everybody wants to just rely on overseas. Africans are giving up on their continent. Nobody wants to fight back and hold leaders accountable. Oppositions are in bed with leading governments in power. So they've all banded up against the people now. So the people are by themselves. The people are by themselves. They don't have oppositions. They don't have, a legitimate government. Let's reflect. This is a time for us to take the opportunity to reflect and think about what we can do to hold the leaders accountable.